Good evening. We're back again. It's been a couple of weeks, I think, since the last update. So we'll get you up to date again on where we're up to. I hope the sound quality is a bit better. I've got a new microphone which is on a boom, so if it goes a bit quiet, it's because I've stepped away from it a little bit. So I don't know if anyone's said. Let me just put a light on it here. That's it. I don't know if I've ever said before. I really hate rust. Now, some of you may know me from Facebook and follow me on Facebook, and I'll put a picture on of my newly machined tender wheels going rusty. They are, look, nice and orange one side, all right on the other side. I had some really helpful comments actually, and a few people said, "Oh, give them John, I think it was, said, give them a wipe with some duck oil and they'll be fine." Another one, rust is not a bad thing. I find it is, because I've got to now clean all that off before I put any primer or anything on it. I can't do any of that obviously until I've done the axle. I've got an axle box in the lathe at the minute that I'm trying to bore up to size, but I'm waiting on some bearings because I want them a nice snug fit. I've got two more axle boxes ready. They're all machined up. One more left to do, which is in the mill at the minute. So then we're going to be up to date with all the axle boxes are done. Wheels will be finished. Then it'll be two axles to do, because I've already obviously, you've seen one that's already ready. One that's already done and finished. There we are, it's already got the axle boxes ready on there. So that'll be another one done. Where else are we up to? So I got asked a question actually. The process of when I'm silver soldering something and doing it in steps. So in the last video I was on about doing step silver soldering and things like that. Or some people call it step brazing, but anyway, doing it in stages and doing it bit by bit. So you silver solder something, you then drop it in some pickle or whatever you choose to pickle it with. Some use citric acid mixed up with water, which I do for smaller parts, and then I've also got a bigger tub, and all it's got in it is white vinegar, which you can buy from your local butchers or whatever. And I buy it in 5 litre drums, pour it straight into this tub, and I just leave it sat in the workshop. Now I watched a video and it said any type of acid crystals that are in your workshop, no matter how sealed they are, they will cause rust in your workshop. I think my problem in the workshop, not this side especially, but in the machine shop side of things, is it's not lined, it's not insulated or anything like that. So that's why that side is suffering. This side not so bad, because I've done all this and I've insulated it to within an inch of its life. There's one little bit over in that side there you can see I've still got to do. So, but that's the only place where the cold can get in. Plus as well, I've got the wood burning stove, that's quietly humming away to itself now, burning some Colombian coal. And it keeps this side of it warmer than that side. Even though I've got one of them heat transfer fans on the top blowing the heat across into the other side, it never gets warm as this side does. So this side, the engine frame and tender frames are in here, and they're not suffering from rust, touch wood. They're not suffering at all. So, but that side, as you can tell by that tender wheel, it's not doing me any favours. So where was I up to? I was digressing a little bit there, wasn't I? Talking about bloody rust, never mind. So, cleaning up between different stages of silver soldering. So I've silver soldered a part. That, for instance. So with that, I did the ends first, yeah, and then I dunked it in that bigger bath of acid to do these sides, yeah. So doing something like that, I'm going to kind of show you now in little bits, little sections. I silver soldered these up. These are for the corner pieces that I showed you that were mocked up. So I've done that part there. Yeah, you can see the run of silver solder. Yeah, it's gone right through there. That, all that has been, now that looks to me like quite clean steel. Look, if I bounce the light off it, all I've done with that is left it for 24 hours in pickling vinegar, white vinegar. Yeah, I've not done anything else to it. I've took it out of that white vinegar, washed it in water. So I've got a little jug of water, dunked it in the water, give it a whiz around, wiped it with a cloth. That's it. I've not done anything else to it. I've not hit it with a Dremel and nothing. Yeah, that's now ready for me to emery paper up this edge and this edge. Yeah, emery paper those up. Give them a bit of wipe with some thinners on a rag. Yeah, get any residue of the emery paper off it. Flux that up. Stick it to the next bit, which will be one of those sides, not that bit. Flux that up. Stick it. This isn't, it could run, yeah, because I'm going to do, if I do this edge, this could run because all of this is going to get red hot again. But what's going to happen is I'm going to concentrate the flame into this bottom corner, yeah. If there's any excess in there, it's going to take more for that to run out and then run into this. It's not like soft solder. Soft solder, as soon as you get heat near it, you can run it wherever your flux is. This doesn't run like that. Well, not that I've found. Someone might be able to comment on this and tell me different. So I'm going to put those two together like that. Heat all that up, because that's going to be sat on the fire brick, that piece. Going to be sat on the fire brick. Heat all that up, get it nice and hot, cherry red. Concentrate the flame up into this. Yeah, because this is thin steel, 1.5mm steel. The bit that it's going into is 2mm steel. So that's going to need the heat first. See the flux bubbling away. What I do, and it's hard to describe with this, get a piece of silver solder the length of that or just short of it. So I'll snip it off. Now you've seen me on other videos where I dab it in. That's all well and good, but if you're dabbing it into the flame like you'll just seen in mine, it can bend over, the heat gets to it and it blobs on in front of what you want it to do. It blobs in front of the joint as opposed to in the joint. You've got to be very quick to get it in there and get it to run. So what I did with this, cut a piece of silver solder, the length of that, applied the flux liberally, put that silver solder, the strip of it, in that joint, along that joint like that. When that all starts to come up to temperature, the flux will bubble and that and start to go a bit crusty. Then it turns to like a watery liquid, and then you'll see the solder start to run. And depending where the flame is, if it's in the middle, it's obviously going to go from the middle outwards. Or if it's at one end, it's going to go from this end and then chase it. You'll watch it go along. So that's how I did that, and you get a very, as you can see there, let me bring that right in. It's a very neat joint. Yeah? Bounce the light off it there. It's a very neat joint. I think there's one little bubble. It could be a bit of dirt. I thought it was a bit of a bubble, but it's not. It's just a bit of dirt in there. I thought there was a bit that missed it, but it's not. I've done the same with that bit. That's the thinner piece. See, look. That's the light off it. And that's all I did. Fluxed it up completely. Pushed this piece into it. Yeah. Push that onto the two tabs, snipped a bit of silver solder, 0.75 wire I've used for these, 0.75 wire, just short of the length of that, rested it in that gap, in that crease in there, heated it up, and it just ran. Probably the best silver soldering I've ever done, to be fair, and that's blowing my own trumpet. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do with the next bit. So this is going to be on an up, it's going to sit upright like that. The tab's going to be pushed into the next piece at the bottom, so I can make sure that that's nice and flat to the piece underneath it. Flux it all up first, press it in, press the tab in. Bit of silver solder, cut to the length of that, which I'm not doing it because I've run out of silver solder again. I go through it like bloody no one's business. Flux that up, bit of silver solder there, heat. And fingers crossed on my next update after this video, in a week or two's time, and that'll be a job done. I have got one done already, one of them corner pieces, but it's currently in paint. because I'm panicking now about rust starting. If I could, I would order all the stuff from Wix to get delivered, and I'd have that lined this weekend, even though I've got work on Saturday night and some on Sunday as well. I'd want that lined because rust does my head in. There's no two ways about it. So, what have I had from Ed this week? It's like how many parts has Gav ordered from Ed at Model Engineers Laser? Now, I've shown you one of them. Yeah. There's another one, not silver soldered yet. And before you ask, no, I'm not building a second class 2, although thinking on, I should have built 2 of these side by side. One I could have sold and one I could have kept, but there we are. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I've done that because, to my surprise, when that middle structure went in, that vertical one that I showed you, that's in undercoat paint. It's in the middle of the frames at the moment, and I'll do you a quick snapshot of that in place. The reason I've had another one cut is because idiot boy here got some holes in the wrong place, and it's to do with these pieces here. And what was happening, even though I showed you a picture of the vertical structure and horizontal structure bolted together, I did a trick of the camera and only bolted the horizontal structure in. The vertical one I couldn't marry up the holes. But there was also another thing I did wrong with it, and that was where these cutouts are here. You can see it's a bit of a funny shape up here. They are meant to be at the front, and I've silver soldered the sides on in the wrong place. So this, you can see this cutout here is smaller than this cutout here, because it would have sit round in the frames that way, not that way. So I made a bit of a faux pas there. So I've got another one now, and before I solder this one together, I'm going to obviously dry fit all them tabs together, check it, put bolts in, make sure bolts marry up with bolt holes, and off we go. So that's why I've got that. I know what you're thinking, we should have been building a second class 2, Gavin. Well, this one's taking me a long while anyway. I think if I did this full time, definitely, but I don't, so there we are. So yeah, so that's those 2 bits. They're going to go now emery paper, like I said, and then we silver solder the next bit. So the next time round, the next video update, I will be showing you the finished corner pieces with a temporary bolted on front buffer beam. Hopefully another axle set, wheel set done, or even all 3 of them done, with the Timken cover bearing covers on, all painted up. I'm currently tying up a nice little square of kitchen table, and it's been like that for a number of weeks now while I've been painting them, much to the annoyance of the missus. But there we are. That's me and model making. Yeah, I think we're up to date now with everything. It's a lot shorter video than I normally do, I know. And I normally do wafflings and rumblings and all the rest of it, and grumblings, moanings and all that. But there's not a great deal, sorry, that I can show you. It's been all about machining them axle boxes in the milling machine, and doing the odd bit, as like I say, that corner piece. In fact, I'm going to go and grab that now while it's drying on its hook. I can reach it. So bear with me. It's just on a hook, drying. And these are an awkward little, they're an awkward little thing to make. I can't really hold it up to show you the underside because it's still wet. They're an awkward little thing to make, but they are going to look really neat on the engine when they're done. So that's just had a little bit of primer put on it, and I'm primering it really. I know I shouldn't be putting any paint on them yet until the frames have all been checked for squareness and stuff like that. yeah, I shouldn't really be checking it. I shouldn't be really painting it until I've checked the frames for squareness, and there's a lot to go on the frames before I check for squareness and stuff. But I wanted to get a primer on that, and just to basically stop the bloody rust. So that's one of those done. That's what those two bits are, is for the second one. I'm gonna have to make a special tool that's going to fit down the gap, and I'll show you the gap in the next video. And there's a gap in between the two of them, and there is a row of holes which I would say technically on the works drawings would have been rivet snap heads on the inside of the frames. I'm not sure I'm going to do that because I haven't got a snap narrow enough to get through the gap. So I've got to do a bit of thinking on that. I know going to the frames it's going to be slotless screws, because on the inside the foot plating on the front's going to, you're not going to see it, so on the outside it'll look like a rivet, but on the inside it'll actually have a nut on it. So there we are. I'm rambling on. I've somehow managed to ramble on for 16 whole minutes. Thank you for the comments on videos that have been on YouTube and stuff. I can't thank people enough for following and stuff like that. It's just me in my workshop doing a, you know, building a BR standard class 2 in 7¼ inch gauge. But obviously it interests people, and if it interests people I'll still keep updating people on how the build progress is going. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, thumbs up, tick, put notifications on. I don't know how it bloody works. Anyway, do all those things, and we'll see you on the next video after this. And fingers crossed I'll have a bit more update. See you soon.